Success. It's the word we're all secretly obsessed with. It keeps us awake at night, scrolling through Instagram, comparing ourselves to strangers. It's what makes us buy books, sign up for courses, listen to podcasts, and spend hours watching videos like this one. Deep down, everyone wants to know what's the secret? What's the formula? How do I finally make it? We imagine there must be some hidden hack that successful people discovered. A ritual, a mindset, a trick that once we figure it out, our whole life will click into place. We fantasize about that aha moment when everything finally makes sense and we step into greatness. But here's the brutal truth, the real secret to lasting success isn't glamorous. It's not sexy. It's not even something most people want to hear. Because the secret isn't about how much you want success. It's about how much pain you're willing to endure for it. Yes, pain, frustration, rejection, embarrassment, the stuff no one posts on Instagram. Success is not about what you're willing to gain. It's about what you're willing to lose. Not about how much comfort you want, but how much discomfort you can consistently handle without quitting. Think about it, everyone wants to be successful. Everyone wants financial freedom. Everyone wants respect, admiration, influence. But very few people are willing to do what success actually requires: sacrifice, patience, failure, discipline, and the repeated humiliation of being wrong, looking stupid, or starting from scratch. The world tells you success is about desire. But the truth, success is about endurance. Success is one of those ideas that everyone is drawn to. It feels exciting to imagine the rewards, the recognition, the freedom, and the lifestyle that come with it. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think success is about how badly you want it. They assume the intensity of their desire will carry them to the finish line. They convince themselves that if they just want it enough, the universe will somehow rearrange itself to give it to them. The uncomfortable truth is that wanting success doesn't matter. Everyone wants success. Everyone dreams about it at night, visualizes it, fantasizes about it, and wishes for it. The real question is not about how much you want to succeed, it's about how much you are willing to endure for it. Success is not measured by desire, it's measured by endurance. Endurance is what separates those who achieve from those who only talk about achieving. Because the path to success is not filled with constant excitement and applause. It is filled with obstacles, rejections, setbacks, and long periods where nothing seems to be working. The truth is, most people quit the moment success starts to cost them comfort. They quit when they realize it's going to take longer than they thought, or when they have to fail more times than they can count. Endurance is the ability to keep moving forward despite that pain, despite the rejection, despite the silence of nobody noticing your work. It's the willingness to stay in the game when every part of you wants to walk away. Think about it. Everyone wants to be fit and healthy, but only those who endure the discipline of daily exercise and strict diets actually achieve it. Everyone wants to build wealth, but only those who endure years of financial restraint, risks, and sacrifices end up with freedom. Everyone wants to create something impactful, but only those who endure the ridicule, the boredom of practice, the countless failed attempts, and the criticism make something meaningful. Success is never free. It demands that you give up comfort in exchange for growth. What makes endurance so difficult is that it's invisible. Nobody claps for you while you are practicing alone. Nobody praises the months where you're working quietly, making no money, with no results to show. Nobody sees the endless nights you spend reworking, learning, or trying again after yet another failure. Endurance happens in silence, and most people can't handle that silence. They want constant affirmation, and when it doesn't come, they give up. The irony is that success eventually does bring recognition, but only to those who were willing to walk through long seasons without any. Desire is easy. Endurance is rare. Anyone can write down goals, make vision boards, or daydream about a better future. But very few can keep showing up after 10 failures, 20 rejections, or 5 years with little progress. Endurance means you commit to the process even when you no longer feel inspired, even when it doesn't feel worth it, even when results are nowhere in sight. It is the stubborn refusal to stop when the average person would have already quit. That refusal to quit is where success begins to take root. The brutal but liberating truth is that success doesn't go to the most talented, the smartest, or the most gifted. It goes to the ones who can stay in the game the longest. The ones who are willing to keep failing, to keep learning, to keep getting up after every knockdown. Success is not about the size of your dreams, it's about the size of your endurance. And until you understand that, desire alone will always leave you stuck where you are. Motivation is one of the most misunderstood forces in the pursuit of success. It feels powerful when it strikes like an electric current running through your body. It makes you want to jump out of bed, start projects, chase big goals, and finally change your life. But the truth is, motivation is unreliable. It's temporary, it's inconsistent, and it never shows up when you need it most. Relying on motivation to build lasting success is like relying on fireworks to light your path home. They burn bright for a moment, but they disappear almost as quickly, leaving you in darkness again. That's why discipline matters far more than motivation ever will. When people first get inspired, they mistake that rush of excitement for commitment. They tell themselves this time will be different. They'll stay consistent, they'll keep working, and they'll never give up. But what they don't realize is that the excitement they're feeling isn't permanent. It's a chemical spike, a temporary high. Once the feeling fades, so does their commitment. This is why gyms are packed every January and nearly empty by March. It's why people start businesses with energy, but abandon them within a year. It's why books get half written, courses half finished, dreams half chased. Because when the motivation wears off, so does the action. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't wait for the perfect mood or the perfect moment. Discipline is the choice to act regardless of whether the excitement is there or not. It's the system you build around yourself to make sure the work gets done, even when you'd rather do anything else. Success doesn't belong to the person who can get motivated once in a while. It belongs to the person who can act consistently without waiting to feel motivated at all. Think about the people who achieve lasting success. They are not constantly inspired. They are not bouncing out of bed every morning thrilled to do the hard things. What they have mastered is the art of showing up. They write even when they feel blocked. They train even when they feel tired. They work even when they feel bored. That ability to override their temporary emotions and honor their commitments is what separates them from everyone else. Success is not built on bursts of excitement, but on boring, repetitive, consistent habits carried out over years. Motivation is like a spark that can get you started, but it is discipline that keeps the fire burning. Without discipline, you keep restarting from scratch every time you wait for motivation to return. That constant cycle of starting and stopping drains people, and eventually they give up because they feel like nothing ever sticks. But when you build discipline, you stop depending on how you feel in the moment and start depending on the systems you've created for yourself. You trust your routines more than your moods, and that is what makes progress inevitable. What's powerful about discipline is that it compounds. At first, forcing yourself to act without motivation feels painful. You fight resistance every step of the way. But over time, it becomes your identity. You stop needing willpower to do the work because it becomes a habit. What once felt impossible now feels automatic, and that is when success begins to unfold. Motivation may give you the first step, but discipline gives you every step after that. And in the long run, those consistent steps are the only thing that truly matter. Every kind of success carries a cost, and this is the reality most people avoid acknowledging. The images of success we see in media and online are polished, glamorous, and inspiring, but what is hidden behind those images are the trade-offs that made them possible. You cannot achieve something meaningful without giving something up in return, because success always demands sacrifice. The problem is that people often fall in love with the dream but ignore the price tag attached to it. They say they want wealth, health, influence, or deep relationships, but the moment they realize what those things require, they step back and decide it's too much. What separates those who succeed from those who don't is not desire, but the willingness to pay the cost that comes with their chosen path. Take wealth, for example. Many people dream of financial freedom, the luxury to travel, the ability to buy what they want, and the security of never worrying about bills. But the cost of wealth is years of saving when everyone else is spending. It's long nights of work when others are relaxing. It's taking risks with no guarantee of payoff. It's facing setbacks and possibly losing money multiple times before gaining any. The question isn't whether you want money, because everyone does. The question is whether you're willing to live with the trade-offs required to build it. The same is true with health and fitness. People admire athletes or envy those with disciplined bodies, but they don't see the sacrifices behind the scenes. The cost is sweating through workouts while others sleep in. It's saying no to comfort foods while your friends indulge. It's enduring pain, exhaustion, and repetition day after day without instant results. Everyone wants the reward, but very few accept the process that leads to it. Even relationships, which many people assume should just happen naturally, have their costs. Deep, lasting connections require vulnerability, honesty, and uncomfortable conversations. They require the courage to show parts of yourself that might get rejected and the patience to work through misunderstandings and pain. The cost of love is opening yourself up to heartbreak, and many people avoid it because the pain seems too great. Yet without paying that cost, the reward of intimacy and connection never comes. What's crucial to understand is that there is no such thing as a free version of success. For every choice you make, there's an opportunity cost. If you choose to chase career success, the cost might be time away from friends or family. If you choose to dedicate yourself to your art, the cost might be financial instability in the early years. If you choose to live a life of freedom and travel, the cost might be the stability of routine and long-term roots. No path is free. The only question that matters is which trade-offs you're willing to live with every day. Most people set themselves up for disappointment by wanting the dream while pretending the cost doesn't exist. They want the rewards without the struggle, the end result without the process. That's why they quit, complain, or chase shortcuts. but lasting success comes only to those who make peace with the cost. They accept the trade, offs up front, knowing full well that every reward is built on sacrifice. Instead of resisting the price, they embrace it, and in doing so, they move toward success while everyone else waits for it to come cheaply. Failure is one of the most avoided experiences in life, yet it is also the most essential ingredient for any kind of meaningful success. From childhood, people are conditioned to fear failure. They are punished for wrong answers, embarrassed when they stumble, and taught to associate mistakes with weakness or inadequacy. As a result, most grow up believing that success means avoiding failure altogether. But in reality, failure is not the opposite of success. It is the process of success. Nobody achieves anything worthwhile without first being humbled by mistakes, setbacks, and disappointments. Every failure is not an end but a step forward, a piece of feedback guiding you closer to the outcome you want. Think about how humans learn to walk. Babies fall hundreds of times before they manage a few steady steps. Each fall is not treated as evidence that walking is impossible. It is treated as practice. Yet as adults, when we fall in our pursuits, whether it's starting a business, writing a book, or pursuing a dream, we interpret it as a final judgment that we are not good enough. This mindset is exactly what keeps people stuck. The truth is that failing is how you build the skills, resilience, and clarity required to succeed. Every stumble reveals what doesn't work, and by eliminating what doesn't work, you discover what eventually does. The most successful people in the world are not those who avoided failure, but those who failed more than anyone else. Athletes lose countless games before they win championships. Entrepreneurs launch multiple failing ventures before they find the one that thrives. Artists create dozens of bad drafts before they produce something remarkable. Each failure is not wasted effort, but necessary training. It's through repeated failure that confidence is forged and mastery is developed. Without it, success would never have the foundation to stand on. The tragedy is that many people never allow themselves to get far enough because they treat failure as permanent. They hit a wall once, feel embarrassed or discouraged, and decide that it's proof they should stop. What they don't realize is that failure is not the end of the road, but part of the road itself. There is no version of success without it. Failure is the toll you must pay to keep moving forward, and every setback is simply the cost of growth. If you refuse to pay that toll, you never get to your destination. What makes failure powerful is not just the lessons it teaches, but the resilience it builds. Each time you fail and choose to rise again, you strengthen your capacity to handle challenges. You develop a thicker skin, a deeper sense of humility, and a sharper understanding of yourself. Success is never about never falling. It is about becoming the kind of person who cannot be kept down. Those who reach lasting success are the ones who redefine failure not as defeat but as training. They view it not as shame but as feedback. They learn to ask not, why me, but what can this teach me? A failure strips away illusions and tests commitment. If you can endure it, you prove that your pursuit matters enough to you to keep going despite setbacks. That persistence is what ultimately separates dreamers from achievers. The ones who succeed are not those who never fail, but those who learn to fail forward again and again until the path opens. The path to success is often imagined as exciting, filled with breakthroughs, dramatic moments, and big wins. People expect progress to feel like a movie montage, fast, inspiring, and constantly rewarding. But the reality is far less glamorous. The true road to success is boring. It is repetitive, quiet, and unremarkable. It is doing the same small actions over and over again, with no audience, no applause, and no instant payoff. This is why so few people actually achieve lasting success, because they mistake boredom for failure, when in fact boredom is proof that they're on the right track. Consistency is rarely thrilling. Waking up early every day to practice, working on a project in silence, training when nobody is watching, saving money when nobody notices, these are not dramatic acts. They don't give you a surge of excitement. They feel mundane, and sometimes they even feel pointless. But those boring actions are what compound into something extraordinary over time. Success is less about intensity and more about repetition. One massive effort will never outlast the results of small, boring habits performed consistently for years. What people often forget is that the glamorous side of success, the recognition, and the big achievements are built on a foundation of unseen, uncelebrated work. A best-selling author spends years sitting alone, typing thousands of words nobody reads until the book is finished. An athlete spends countless hours practicing drills that never make it onto television. A musician plays the same scales and chords until their hands ache long before they ever step onto a stage. What looks extraordinary in public is the result of countless ordinary days in private. The world sees the highlight, but the real work happens in obscurity. The reason most people quit on their goals is not because they lack talent or resources, but because they cannot tolerate the monotony of repetition. They expect progress to feel exciting, but when it doesn't, they assume something is wrong. They think boredom means failure. The truth is, boredom means you're doing the work that matters. Success requires you to show up on the days that feel uninspired, on the mornings when motivation is gone, and in the moments when progress is invisible. If you can't embrace boredom, you'll never reach the stage where the results finally show. The The boring road is also the most honest test of commitment. Anybody can take action when it feels exciting. Anybody can work hard when there's recognition or novelty. But the real measure of your dedication is whether you keep going when it feels like nothing is happening. Success demands delayed gratification, and delayed gratification is built on the willingness to keep doing the right things long before you're rewarded for them. The boring road is what separates those who want success in theory from those who earn it in reality. If you study anyone who has achieved greatness, you'll find the same story repeating. They didn't succeed because they found a shortcut or some magic trick. They succeeded because they stayed with the boring process longer than anyone else. They turned the mundane into a ritual, the repetition into mastery, and the patience into progress. That's why the real secret to lasting success isn't some dramatic moment of inspiration, but the quiet persistence of boring consistency carried out long after the excitement fades. Lasting success is not about the trophies you collect, the money you earn, or the recognition you receive. Those external rewards can be satisfying for a moment, but they are fragile. They can be taken away, they can fade, and they can lose meaning over time. What truly lasts is who you become in the process of chasing those goals. The real value of success lies in the person you build along the way, the resilience you develop, the discipline you practice, the wisdom you gain, and the strength of character that emerges from the struggles you face. People often confuse achievements with identity. They believe success is measured in numbers, awards, or public validation. But when those markers disappear, they are left empty because their sense of self was tied to something external. If your worth depends on your achievements, then your self-respect will always be unstable. But when you shift your focus to who you are becoming through the journey, you build a kind of success that cannot be taken away. The lessons, the habits, and the personal growth you earn are yours forever, no matter what happens to the external rewards. Every challenge you face while pursuing success reshapes you. The late nights of hard work teach you endurance. The failures and rejections build your ability to handle setbacks. The sacrifices you make for a bigger purpose strengthen your commitment. Even the moments of doubt and fear shape your courage when you choose to keep going. None of these qualities are temporary. They stay with you for life, and they influence every future pursuit you take on. Success then becomes less about reaching a final destination and more about the transformation you undergo along the way. Consider the people who have achieved great things but lost them. Athletes who were once champions, entrepreneurs who lost businesses, artists who fell out of the spotlight. Even when the titles or money are gone, many of them rebuild because they carry with them the character forged through their first journey. They have the tools, the discipline, and the mindset to start again. They know they are capable because of who they have already become. The external rewards may have disappeared, but the internal success remains intact, and it allows them to rise again. This is why the process matters more than the outcome. If you achieve a goal but remain unchanged as a person, the victory will feel hollow. But if you pursue a goal and along the way grow into someone stronger, wiser, and more capable, then even if the outcome doesn't look exactly as you imagined, you have still won something invaluable. The transformation is the real reward, and it is what gives success its lasting impact. The irony is that when you stop obsessing over outcomes and start focusing on becoming the kind of person who can handle the journey, the external rewards often follow anyway. Money, recognition, and influence become byproducts of your growth rather than the core of it. You no longer chase them desperately because you understand that the deeper fulfillment comes from your own evolution. You are no longer defined by what you achieve, but by who you are. And that is the kind of success that cannot be taken away because it is woven into the fabric of your identity.